Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, NKJ!
What is up, guys? It's your boy 10KJ. Today is chest, shoulders, and biceps day. All right, guys, so if you're too soft for this, start forwarding, because what I'm about to say, a lot of people might get a little bit sensitive about it. So, first of all is, if you're a power lifter also, this part is not for you guys, okay? So what I want to tell you guys is, I see a lot of people kind of benching wrong. So first you got to realize, what is your goal in the gym? If you're trying to, gain muscle, or if you're trying to gain strength. You got to remember also that when you gain muscle, strength comes along with it, okay? So I see a lot of people doing this, okay? So see that bouncing? Take it out, guys. Take it out. There's no way your chest is gonna grow doing that. It's just bouncing off the weight off your chest. You're not using your chest, you're just using your arms. I guarantee you, if you start actually squeezing the chest, guys, you're not gonna be able to lift as heavy as you normally will. I see a lot of people at the gym doing that, and they always ask me, how do I grow my chest? And the things that I tell them is, start squeezing the chest and stop using your arms. When you do that bouncing stuff, you're using more of your arms. You gotta remember, guys, if you get a pump in your arms, apart from your chest, what do you think you're using? You're using your arms, your shoulders, okay? All that stuff. Sometimes that's why a lot of you guys get injured. So you really have to just emphasize on just squeezing the chest. All my clients, what I show them first is to squeeze whatever you're using. Okay, if it's quad day, if it's shoulder day, you got to squeeze that body part. Okay, if you're getting a pump on another muscle that you're probably not working, you're probably using that muscle instead of what you really want to work that day. Okay, so the proper way that you should be doing it is, you really just want to go down, stretch it, controlled, start squeezing the chest. Now, if you guys can see, I'm not blocking my elbows. When I do this, I start using my arms, triceps, and everything. I control the weight and just squeeze the chest.
So Josh, do you lift heavy weight when you do, like you're starting with your chest? Or no?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Like I said, what I do is I like to feel my chest. So if I feel that I'm getting a pump in my chest, just squeezing every single body part, there's no really need to go that heavy. Okay, that's how I actually have grown my chest. I'm not saying don't go heavy. It's just going heavy to a point where you can get 8 to 10 reps. If you're going less than that, you're just wasting your time.
Okay, so it's not about piling on the weight, it's about being able to do
it's about
more
actually
reps.
Contracting that chest.
Okay.
So since I'm contracting my chest, there's really not, sometimes, everyone has gotten those days where you just don't lift that heavy. So for me right now, that's how heavy I can go, and I really squeeze that upper chest as hard as I can.
So it's about quality over quantity.
Exactly. So, the majority of you guys who, see me in person have always asked me, why I have always a photo of myself on my phone. So the reason is because How many times do you guys see your phone a day? I'm pretty sure that that's the first thing that you see in the morning when you wake up, just because you want to check the time, you know, your messages. But your phone, your front screen, is something that you see every single day, more than 10 times a day. So for me, the reason why I put a photo of myself is I put a photo of my last competition that I had. So every time I see that photo, I say to myself, today is a new day to make that version better, okay? So I myself, I don't look at my competition. What I'm trying to say is I am my own competition. So every time I see that photo, I say to myself, I need to better that version, okay? Majority, or some of, you know, the competitors out there, they spend a lot of their time, you know, going online, looking at their competition, and that for me is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. You gotta concentrate on yourself, guys. So that is something that I do. I concentrate on myself. I don't look at my competition. Day of the competition, I am like a horse, you know, like one of those race horses. I only see the front line. I only see, you know, that medal, that first place medal. So that is one of the reasons why I keep a photo of myself as a front screen. It's not for anything else. You know, some people have told me like, oh, is it because you're in love with yourself? Nothing to do with that. It's just to keep me in check, to let me know that I have to work harder for this year, or for next year, or for the next time that I hit the stage, that I need to better that version, okay? So that's just a tip for you guys. You know, that works for everything. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding. If there's something that you really, really want, if there's a car that you really want, you know, put it at somewhere. Take a photo, put it maybe, you know, next to your bed, and then every time you wake up, you look at that photo, and that's gonna keep you motivated. It's gonna keep you even working harder to get to that goal. So it's not only bodybuilding, guys. It works for everything, okay? It just keeps you in check. Ooh. Ooh. Careful.
So, Josh, what are we targeting on this machine?
So right here is just the middle chest. Same thing, guys. Squeezing that chest. As you can see, I already got like a big ass pump right in the chest. No shoulder, a little bit of arms, as you can see, because the blood flows through there, but it's mostly chest. So remember, if you don't feel a big ass pump on your chest when you're working out chest, you're probably working out something else, guys, okay? Like I said, just squeeze that chest. Slow, just the chest, okay? It's almost like you're feeling like you want to choke yourself with your chest. Push that chest up high, okay? Remember that.
What are we gonna work on over here, Josh?
We're gonna still work the middle chest and a little bit of upper, okay, with the cables. I really, really like the cables just because if you actually make a difference between the cables and the dumbbells, cables actually pull you. So you actually have to work against the cables pulling you. So you go slow, so it stretches you, and then you push forward, okay? So it's kind of like you have to fight towards the cables apart from doing it with dumbbells. So I really get that nice little stretch. That's why if you give me an opportunity to like choose between cables and dumbbells, I will always go for the cables, always. Same thing, guys. See how I squeeze that chest? What you want to do is you want to think like there is a tree. You just want to hug that tree. like I said, guys, I was saying a little bit right now when I was doing the rep. Just try to focus when you're doing the cables is like there's a tree in front of you, okay? There's a tree in front of you and you gotta hug that tree. Why? Because I see a lot of people actually pushing or like doing this. They keep their chest inside. Always wanna keep that chest up high and open. So that's why I always say, pretend like there is a tree in front of you guys and you just wanna hug that tree, okay? With your chest up high. Always do that.
Now, how do you hold your posture when you are doing sets like this?
So you always want to keep your chest up high, okay? Chest up high, and it doesn't even matter if you're working chest or back or doing squats. Always want to keep that nice straight back, chest up high, okay?
So is that by like rolling the shoulders back thing
Rolling shoulders
instead
back.
of slouching forward?
No, never like this. Always with your chest up high, shoulders back, okay?
What are you getting the bench for?
So we're gonna go for incline now. The cables, get a nice little stretch. See how I just focus on the chest, guys?
So, Josh, what's the difference between doing the bench with the cables over something like the machines over that we see normally in a workout studio or a gym?
So basically, very rare gyms have incline machine, you know, for you guys to do flies. So that's why in this gym we don't have any machines. So I like to just go for the cables. But same thing again, I will repeat what I repeated was that, you know, with cables, you get that nice little motion that it pulls you. So, like I said, you have to actually fight against the cables pulling you. So if you really don't, you know, use your chest and actually control it, the cable's just gonna pull you. So you have to work against that and then actually squeezing every time you come up. So that is one of the reasons why I still like the cables over any machine.
So do you mean that it gives you a better proper technique with using cables over the machines, or?
Necessarily, when you first start off, I do recommend the cables just because, you know, you can actually control the weight even much better. On the machine, sometimes some machines skip from like maybe 10 to maybe 15 or even 20 pounds. So right here, you can actually just put like 5 and 5 pounds. So it has better control for people who are kind of starting off with. That's something also. Just basically that. It's really not something that you would say that, you know, is for beginners, you know. If you guys haven't noticed, I always wear my belt. One of the reasons that I always wear my belt, especially on off season, which a lot of competitors ask me for tips and stuff like that, is it keeps your waist, you know, from growing too much. You got to remember that when you are on off season and you're bulking, you know, your waist tends to get bigger. So you having a waist trainer or a belt keeps your waist in check and keeps it from growing too much, okay? Which is one of the things that all competitors, even if you're, especially if you're men's physique, you always want to keep that tight waist, okay?
Now, was that something that you would recommend for someone just starting out in the gym to
I would
kind of keep
recommend
that?
it for anyone who just in overall wants to keep their waist small. Always wear a waist trainer when you're training and when you're doing cardio, okay?
So you prescribe that women also wear
Women and men.
belts and stuff like that too?
Yeah. Now, if you want to,
Because I know it's a different body
Yeah.
shape and different physique that they're targeting.
exactly
So,
what it's gonna do, it's not gonna make your waist smaller, okay? What it does is it just keeps your waist in check, especially when you're bulking, because your waist tends to grow, okay? So it keeps it a little bit more thinner. It doesn't make your waist smaller. What it does is It prevents from getting bigger, okay? And also guys, what it does, especially this kind of belt, it keeps you from getting injured, you know? Sometimes you don't really need to lift heavy to get injured. Sometimes you can just pick up a weight wrong or anything like that. So having like a weightlifting belt kind of keeps your waist a little bit, you know, a little bit, how can you say it? It keeps your waist a little bit tighter, okay? So when you're doing like any rows with dumbbells, it kind of keeps your waist tighter except from not, if you're not having one of these, you can just move, your waist is all over the place. And sometimes you get injured, you know, your lower back gets injured or anything like that. So that is another reason why I recommend having a belt. Remember, it doesn't mean that you're gonna lift heavy. It just keeps your waist and your lower back a little bit tighter, okay? Whew. We're gonna go for lower chest now, guys. Still with the cables. Now, some of you guys, when you guys work out your lower chest and use the bar, tell me that your shoulders tend to hurt. So, if you're one of those guys who actually, you know, your shoulders hurt when you guys do the bar over there for the lower chest, start doing cables, okay? I always recommend it just because the whole motion is different. You can actually control it here. So if your shoulders are hurting, the more you guys go up, lower this, okay? Lower it right there. So that means you don't go that high. Stops right here, okay? So it all depends. You can control right here how far you go, and you're still getting that nice little squeeze for the lower back, okay? So remember, if you're one of those guys who your shoulders start to hurt, when you guys do a bar, change to the cables, guys. Change to the cables. Believe me, you guys are gonna feel the difference. And it's the same thing. Squeeze the hell out of that chest. See how the only pump that you can see is the chest. That movement, what you always want to do, just that chest movement. See that? Same here, just chest right there. Shoulders. We are gonna start with side laterals just because since we already worked out chest, our shoulders are warmed up and we did a lot of pressing. So we're just gonna save that towards the end. Hey monsters, which dumbbells are you guys using?
Oh, just the hundreds.
The hundreds? These guys.
Would you like?
No, I'm not too big like you guys. No.
Warm them up for you, John.
I gotta warm up with the 30s. You guys are warming up with the hundreds already. All right. So same thing, controlled. Okay. I see a lot of people doing this, just throwing fucking weight, doing here. You're not getting your side laterals there, guys. You're not. So lower the weight, control it. And what you want to think is elbows out. Pretend like there's something on the sides you guys want to touch with your elbows.
Also keeping the same kind of posture we were doing on the cables.
Yep.
So would you say the people that throw it are more using their back, or what would you say?
You're fucking using everything, guys. When you start rolling like that, you're using your lower back, your back, using your traps, okay? Remember, if you really want to get those nice, bold shoulders, Just have to concentrate and control. None of this. All that is lower back. When you start going this, your traps get in the way, okay? You just gotta remember that. If you can't do that, lower the weight, especially for shoulders, guys. The majority of people think that you gotta go heavy when you do side laterals. Exactly. This is something that you should not do. Literally, that's what I see a lot of people kind of doing. So it's no joke, literally, okay? So that's exactly what you don't wanna do. All right, does it controlled? It's actually lifting pretty good, look at that. Controlled. Oh my God. Exactly what you don't want to do. Thank you. Now, something that I like to do is I work out my chest, shoulders, and biceps on the same day. The reason that I work out that way is because when you do chest, your shoulders kind of get warmed up already. So since shoulders is something that I want to get bigger for next season and they're already warmed up, I like to work out the shoulders. I like to do a lot of side laterals on chest day. I like to do biceps. The reason why I do biceps on a push day is because since I'm already doing a lot of push, there's no need for me to go for triceps. I already got that tired already as well. So that's one of the reasons why I like to do biceps on a push day.
So Josh, why is it that a lot of people that are working out stare at themselves in the mirror?
So I'm not gonna speak for everyone, right? Because everyone's different. But I will say a good amount of like maybe 85% of the people that you see looking in the mirror is because they're checking their form. They're checking their form, and if you see anyone like when they're done with the set that they look in the mirror, they're just looking at how that pump is. You know, you got to remember that you are your own motivation. Okay, so if you look in the mirror every single day and you're like, oh, bicep looking good today, or maybe the other side is not looking too good, all those things help you out, you know. So it's not so much of you being in love with yourself, it's more of you being your own motivation. Okay, you got to remember that when you look in the mirror, you look at yourself, you're like, you know what, today I look good, today I had a good workout. That's going to keep you motivated for the next day, or maybe for the whole week to keep on coming. So if you see someone in the gym looking in the mirror, you know, try not to judge them so much, guys. You know, you don't even know that that person is his own motivation, you know? So less judging, and, you know, maybe tell that person a good comment. Be like, hey, you know what? Today you're looking really pumped, my man. Or, you know, if it's a girl, be respectful and be like, you know what? You know, you're working pretty hard today. I see you every day working. Just be respectful if it's a woman also, okay? Gotta keep that in mind.
So would you say giving compliments to people in the gym is a good thing?
It all depends on,
well, like
how respectful you are.
Yeah, like not in a creepy way, but if I was like, hey, you working hard today, Josh.
Exactly. Believe me, you don't know how much impact that can be on a person who's having a bad day or is just working so hard for months, and sometimes you can't really see the improvement that you've, you know, gotten inside the gym until someone actually tells you, you know. So you can really be a good impact on a person just by saying, you know what, you're looking pretty good, you look like you've grown, you look like you toned down. Any sort of comment that's respectful to guys and women. So yes, to answer your question, I do think it's a very good idea to give a good, respectful comment to anyone in the gym that that you might see is like, you know, improving. Okay. Whew.
So after side laterals, what are we working on?
Just going for the front delt. And towards the end, we'll go for shoulder press.
Now, is there a reason why you do single arm or alternating arm over doing both?
The reason why is I can go heavier when I go singles, apart from just doing both at the same time. Now you got to remember as well, there's a very fine line when you do front delt swinging, okay? So what you really don't want to do is, right now I'll get the dumbbells, is you want to do this or this, okay? When I say there's a very fine line, is you can start from here and move this way, but no swinging with the lower back, okay? So what I mean by that is, start from here. This is the only movement you should see, okay? None of this, all that is incorporating your lower back. Not doing any front delts there. So very controlled. Also squeezing that front delt. And another thing is, you don't want to go too high, okay? Whenever you start going too high, that hand going higher than your nose, all you're doing is you're using your traps. So what I always say is, when you're doing front delt, thumb, stop at your nose. So if you're looking in the mirror, stop at your nose. Because higher than your nose, you're gonna start using your traps. Okay?
Do that again.
So you stop right here where your nose is. Higher than your nose, you start using your traps. Okay? So for some of you guys who here at the gym who see me doing this in front of the mirror, I do this a lot. So that right there, you know, is me talking to myself after finishing a rep and just saying, you know, you got to push it more, keep going, you know, gotta make that last version even better. So this is me like interacting with myself. Most of you might think I'm a little crazy, which to be a bodybuilder, you gotta be a little bit of crazy, have a little crazy in you. It's not easy being a bodybuilder. Now we're gonna go for shoulder press, dumbbells. So another tip that I give the majority of you guys is bench, not straight. The reason why I don't like to be the reason why I don't like to be completely straight is because when it's completely straight and you're doing shoulder press, your lower back arches more like this. So all the stress goes to your lower back. Now having the bench like this helps keep your back straight on the bench, as you can see right there, okay? So that's one of the reasons I like to kind of not incline it completely, but leave it mostly like this, okay? To where my back is completely on the bench, okay? All right, so since we're warmed up, there's no need to go for lower weights. Woo! Oh.
What happened? What happened, Josh?
So that right there is me being humble and lowering down the weight, okay? I could probably done like 2, 3, but I know I wasn't gonna do enough. So whenever you feel like that, don't be afraid to lower down the weight. All right, guys? Like I said, quality over quantity, okay? okay? And if right now, if I cannot get 15 reps with this weight, I'm gonna lower down that weight, believe me. Gotta lower down the weight. So one of the reasons why I'm lowering down the weight is because since I did chest today, we went a little bit heavy. I'm gonna lower down the weight to maybe 50 so I can get those nice 15 reps. Remember, like I said, whenever you do shoulders, not so much about how heavy you go, but how actually you kind of engage the shoulder, squeezing that shoulder, all right?
So Josh, talking about humbling yourself and lowering down the weight, does that go for the same? Are you able to get the same results from doing less weight, more reps, or do you need to up the weight in order to get gains?
So here's the thing. You always want to do, quality sets, okay? So like I said, if you're not able to get 10 to 15 reps, even 8, if you're able to get 8 reps, nice, clean reps, correctly done, then keep that weight, okay? What I'm trying to say is if you're going for like 4 sets and you're just using your triceps apart from your shoulders, you gotta lower down the weight. Now, today, I think I really just squeezed the hell out of my chest, to a point where all this is already like worn out. So that's why today I probably am not doing that heavy, which is practically fine for me. I really don't care about how much weight I'm lifting, just because I know that I worked out my chest today properly. Shoulders today is just an extra thing that I do. So when it's my shoulder day, I usually go really, really heavy. But me lowering down the weight, that's just me so I can get proper and correct reps. So to answer your question is, if you're doing properly, proper sets, proper reps correctly, you can go for like, everyone's different. If 20 is like, your highest weight that you can do properly, then yes, you're still gonna get those gains, okay? But you have to understand that you cannot stay with that same weight for more than a week, okay? I always say, try to aim for like 5 pounds more every week. But like the way that you know that you can raise the weight is if you're going for like 10, 15 reps with that weight, try to up the weight and go for 8 reps, okay? That's what I'm saying. For me, I don't really care if I lower down the weight, just because I know I have one day that I just hit shoulders and I go really, really heavy, okay? So believe me, don't worry so much about how much weight you're lifting, okay? Worry more about the quality and actually engaging your shoulders. Right now, I feel my chest, my shoulders pumped, and I'm going with like 50 dumbbells, okay? 50-pound dumbbells. So it's really not that much of the importance of like going heavy every single time, okay? Remember, heavy for everyone is a different meaning, okay? 50 pounds right now is heavy right now because I really engaged, all the upper chest, okay? So as you can see, I'm not extending my arms completely.
Now, does this also help prevent like blowing out your arms or muscles? Because I know that a lot of people have said or have done to where they've upped the weight and then just try to push even doing smaller reps, but then they end up with like a torn hamstring, or they blow their chest out, or their arms are shot out and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So do you say listen to your body
Always.
while the workout, or
Always listen to your body. You know, that's why sometimes you got to be humble and lower down the weight, you know, especially if you're working out by yourself. You know, I'm pretty sure like if you have a spotter, yeah, you can push yourself a little bit more, right? But you can tell when you cannot lift that weight. Believe me, when you are doing this movement and you're doing this, arms like this, lower down the weight, you know. Another thing that I say is, if you cannot lift that weight by yourself, if you need a spotter to actually get those weights up, lower down the weight. Because I'm pretty sure that those reps are gonna look like this. Half reps. You gotta remember, full reps to where you engage the shoulders. Okay, you don't wanna engage your triceps going all the way up. Okay, right there, just that motion. Okay.
now what are we working on?
So now we're going for curls, bicep curls. Same thing here, guys. Want to keep our elbows to your sides. None of this, because then your shoulders start getting into it. It's just here. Squeeze, controlled. Remember, it's not so much about the weight. So there, I'm able to hit 20. I'm gonna go for 25, probably on the next set. I'll up the weight. It's the same thing that I was saying, guys. This is why you know you need to up your weight, because you're able to go for more than 15 reps. That is when you need to up your weight, okay? So this is what I'm talking about, guys. It's you against you. Bettering that version that you see right there in the mirror. See that person? That's the only one that you should go against.
So would you say that every time you're in a gym, it's a constant battle with yourself and your mind?
Oh yeah, I speak for myself, right? So that is something that I do, yeah. Every time you see me look in the mirror, it's just me, you know, constantly reminding myself that that's the only person that I need to beat. That version of myself, you know? Like I said, I'm not worrying about my competition. You know, I don't look throughout the whole off season what they're working on, how they're looking at. I'm worried about that person right there in the mirror. That's the only person that I'm worried about. All right, because I know that if I work on myself and I give 110 or 120%, I know I'm gonna win that first place. Believe me. All right, guys, so now we're gonna hit biceps again, getting that nice little peak up.
In your training, Josh, what are we working on for physique wise? Because you're not in plastic, right?
Yeah. So, you know, my coach, Eric, and the rest of the Physique Inc. Have, you know, told me, you know, that I should go for classic already. For me, it's not an option yet, just because I know that there's a lot that I need to work on, specifically on my legs, hamstrings, and glutes. which I know that I'm working on. But right now, I really want to just, you know, try to just stay on men's physique. I'm not saying that maybe one day I will go to classic, but right
So,
now.
when you say men physique, what does that mean compared to classic? Because
So, you know, nowadays, the men's physique category, the majority is working on their legs. But you got to remember, you know, when you go to classic, your legs have to just, you know, be huge. You know, it's not the same. I'm not saying that I don't work out my legs. The majority of you guys know that I work out my legs pretty well and pretty hard, but it is a different level. And for that, you need to work out your legs a lot more. Right now, you know, my plan is to work out my legs only one time a week, just because the growth has to go only more towards my shoulders, chest, and back. You know, that is something that me and my coach have talked about. You know, he asked me before, like, hey, you know what? Do you want to go to classic? Because if you don't want to go to classic, then you need to start doing legs a little bit less, you know? Because I was working out my legs like 4 times a week before my last competition. And we saw that the majority of the growth was going to my legs. So we kind of stopped that, and we just stuck to like maybe 1 time, at the most 2 times a week. But right now, I just want to stick to men's physique. And you know, maybe later on, once I do turn pro in men's physique, you know, if my legs look good, then we'll change to classic. But for right now, we're keeping that Dorito look, that triangle look. So bigger from the top, and obviously from the bottom, you know, we're still gonna be working on legs, but you know, not so much big. Okay.
so when you say we're working on the top, does that mean like how people say like the bowling ball effect kind of thing, or are we still trying to stay lean when we bulking up for the top?
So you always want to stay kind of clean when you're bulking, right? Clean bulking to the point where your fat or your percentage, your body fat percentage sticks around 15 to 17% max. When you go over 17%, start kind of getting dirty. So what I mean by dirty is when you have to cut down, when you hit stage, all that you gain, supposedly all that weight that you gain is probably fat and all that stuff that is probably gonna go away. So there's no need to go over 17% body fat, even if you're bulking, just because, you know, you're just gonna, it's a waste of time. Once you cut down, all that's gonna go. So what I always say is it's not how much you fill up the shirt, you know, it's about quality muscle, okay? Right now, I've been at 205 for about maybe a month and a half, and basically stuck to that weight. But I've been going up on muscle. So like I said, it's not so much about what's your weight, but how much muscle you actually gain. So right now, I've been gaining more muscle than fat. So what I'm doing is I'm lowering down my body fat, and I'm still bulking, but the muscle's going up, okay? So right now we're about maybe, I think the last time I did my body scan was around 12. So right now probably I'm like around 15 at max body fat. I just have to check that out. But basically that's what I like to tell people, you know, when they're bulking. Start bulking clean. You know, every body type is different. What I mean by that is there are some people that burn more calories easier. So for me, I'm a very thin person, so I have a hard time gaining weight, but fat I can gain very easily, okay? So if I start eating burgers with cheese and all that kind of stuff, believe me, I'll hit like 240, but dirty. So I like to eat kind of clean. I do have my, you know, my steak, you know, a burger here and there without cheese, because I know that is something that, you know, really fucks me up, you know? So I like to stay away from dairy. So what I tell people is, you know, try to realize what kind of body type you have, and that's the way you should bulk, okay? It's not about how much weight is on the scale, it's about how much muscle you actually see in the mirror, guys, okay? That's the only tip that I'm gonna give you. All right, guys, that is a wrap. I want to give a shout out to SPF, South Pass Fitness, for having us here today. Shout out to Gymmolly, one of my sponsors as well. The One Up Lifestyle, and make sure to subscribe. And any questions you guys might have, put those on the comments. I will answer all those questions in the next video. It's your boy Tank AJ, guys.